What's up, guys? This is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about a lack of motivation. And I mean a lack of motivation when it comes to life altogether. Most of us go through life, and of course there's enough motivation to keep ourselves alive and maybe even have enough money to barely make it by, or to be able to have that one vacation a year, or like a certain standard of, let's say, a car or whatever it is. But we don't get above this. We stay with this our entire life, or for the longest time. We feel like, okay, I have to put in the work. I have to, do and show up at work over and over and over again. And there's an external system that tells me after a while you deserve to go up. But that's more of like an thing happening outside of you. It's not like you have to consciously make that decision to be motivated to want more for your life. And so I was in that position. I was somebody who always felt like, what for? Like, why should I want to have, more money? That was like my thing. Why do I want more money? What am I supposed to do with my relationships? What for? I see that there's nothing really happening. It doesn't really make me happy. So I get stuck. And I was like this for the longest time, but still, if somebody would have asked me, I might have said at the beginning, yeah, it's all good. But if I really would have thought about it, I wasn't too happy, and I knew that something was missing and I wanted more. And I almost got to a point where I felt like I have to just be okay with this. Life is going to suck, and life is going to be hard, and it's going to be lonely, and I'm not going to get what I want. And so I pretty much was willing to give everything up. And then I started changing things. And now, of course, I know it can be completely different. And because I know that, I sometimes really forget how it was, and I forget how many actually are in that state right now. Actually, most people. There are a lot of people who don't think about personal development, who don't think about manifesting things, who don't think about that you have in any way a choice to change something. Some people just go through life and there might be this feeling of something is missing, but that's it. And then there are even people who don't even think of that. You see them being angry often or sad, but that's it. They don't really think about, okay, why am I being sad? Why is this happening? And this is maybe even an INFJ thing. A lot of us start thinking about these things. That's why a lot of topics when it comes to INFJs and are all from this holistic point of view, because we kind of think about those underlying things, which isn't always good if you don't do anything about it. So if you're somebody who doesn't change anything about their life, then I'm all about, rather be ignorant. If you're not going to change anything about your life, if you're going to feel like, that's the best I can do, and you don't, you're just going to stay with that, why think about it? Why? It's I always say, it's like breaking a vase and then afterwards being upset for 2 hours that the vase broke. It's already bad enough that the vase is broken, right? Why think about it? Even it's one more thing on top. But if you're at a point where you think about it anyways and you feel like something is missing, and you're not at a point yet where you feel like, well, I've already given up, where you still feel like, there is something I can do, then this video is exactly for you, because I completely forgot about it. I forgot that I was at a state where I didn't feel I had a choice, where I didn't feel like life was, happy, and where I didn't feel that every chance I get to grow. That's the whole thing. I want to grow, and now I can. And I used to be somebody who felt like I want to grow, but there's no way for me to grow. There is no way, because there are certain rules I have to obey, the way I have to show up. And specifically now, I've had so many people, I think I can think of 3 on the top of my mind, who wrote me since yesterday when it came to, I don't have motivation because my why is not big enough. It's not it's just like that. Or I don't have motivation because the people around me are not good. I don't have any motivation to want more from myself, because you're barely making it by, right? And this is nothing to be ashamed of or be uncomfortable with. It's nature, right? Those things happen, and there are reasons why they happen, and it's not your fault. It's nobody's fault, but it's our responsibility to make it better, to get out of that. And I can definitely guarantee you can get out of that. You can get out of that mentality, and it's not even as difficult as it sounds. But like certain things have to happen. First off, we have to understand why our why is lacking. Our why is lacking because we know if we do certain things, our life's not going to change. So for example, if you're unhappy with your life, you can't really show up the way you want to show up, people don't really see you for who you want to be, who cares about like having a job that brings you more money? Like what for? You're still gonna be miserable, you're still gonna be sad, you're still not gonna be satisfied. So why care about this one little thing? Like what's a job gonna do, right? Like what is that? Like it's not gonna change anything. This is not the field I want to do. Why should I go for it? And then I like remembered how it was for me, and then I realized, okay, well, the thing that actually helped me to become the person I want to be is to realize I as a person want to grow mentally. I want to widen my horizon. Like getting better at stuff that I care about will always make me feel good. And then I felt like, okay, I'm actually part of, energy. I'm part of nature. I'm part of creation, of all of it. And if you see, let's say, a flower growing, it's always growing. Nobody's asking the flower, why are you growing? That's just like, part of nature. And our body grows. We grow and, we develop as, especially kids, you see that. And that's how it is also with our mind. And the more we can, the more influence we have on our environment through our energy, the better we're gonna feel. Like that's just what it is. And I used to kind of think about, well, that's not really possible. For me, the only thing I can expect out of life is for me to feel a little bit less bad than I felt the day before. And then I thought, well, why does it matter how I feel? My life is so insignificant if I compare it to like all life. When I compare it to all life before me, all life after me, why does it matter what I do? That's how I defined it. That's how I defined all of it. Instead of thinking, well, actually, I'm part of it all. And if I want to do better, like not just for me, but even for society, like I have to find a meaning, and it can't just be only about me. I have to have like some kind of thing. I want to make the world better. I want to make my town better, my group better, my family better. Whatever it is, where you include more and more people, it feels natural. It feels like this is for me, right? It doesn't feel like you're lying to yourself. But I had to like really change the narrative and not say, well, my life doesn't matter in this whole thing, but actually my life is the only thing that really matters. Because no matter who I help them through what I experience. Like, for example, even if you look at Mother Teresa, right? And you say, okay, she sacrificed so much. That was not somebody who did things in order to get money or anything like this. But yeah, if she was a person who was all about, I'm a martyr, I'm just gonna give myself up for others, there's no way she could have done all the good she did. She was able to do all that good because she was all about, give me energy, like this is my energy, I'm standing in this, and then I'm helping people. Like she knew that she can only help people more and more if she brings energy to ourselves. Because if you look at self-sacrificing people, it's not like they're having the impact Mother Teresa had. That's not the case. It's not the case that you, while you're sacrificing yourself, you're actually doing better for others, because you have less and less energy. I always use the metaphor with the cup. The less water you have in that cup because you give it out, the less you have to give. You can only give what you have and what you are. And that's why it's so important to fill your cup up, and everything that overflows you can give. And so the moment I started doing this, the moment I started saying, well, actually, it's not that my life doesn't matter. My life's actually the only thing that really matters. And when I say it only matters, doesn't mean that I don't believe in other people. As you can see, I live out my vocation by helping people to help themselves. I'm all about self-empowerment, and I want to help people. But I know that it has to start with me, and that I'm part of creation. And if I want to help others, I have to do How can I give myself more energy? How can I be more myself? How can I give myself more freedom to be myself? And that's when like things like money, status, friendships, and all of those things actually even become important. So the moment I realized, as I said, well, I can't keep thinking my life doesn't matter, because if I keep on thinking this, where does that leave me? I'm just gonna go through life and it's over, and then that's it. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna end my life. Like, I wasn't that, that in that bad of a state. So I knew I needed to redefine what matters to me. And then I said, well, I have to make it matter to me. And I have to make it matter. I have to make a choice that my life matters. And then I had to decide, okay, well, true, just making more money, what for? If I just wanna make money so I can buy myself a house, yeah, of course that's not gonna like motivate me enough, because all the step that it's going to take for me to make money, if I have to sacrifice and not do it in a way that the whole process is really fun for me and I want to be in that process all the time, yeah, of course it's not worth it. But if I say I want to make money in a way that I can be myself, so I'm actually building my life around having more energy, having more and more freedom of being myself, right? So this is in a way of, how do you show up? What kind of standards do you set for yourself? And also like saying, I actually value having money, because money is a way of energy, and energy gives you freedom to be who you are. If you have to, for example, if you don't believe you deserve more than minimum wage, you're gonna be in jobs where people treat you like you're dispensable, like it doesn't matter what your all ideas are and everything. But it's your choice to say, well, there's certain things that are all about me and I'm gonna do them, and they're gonna give me like the vehicle in order to be more and more myself, and then creating a life which I love to create. Like the whole process of growing, the whole process of having like better friendships, better relationships, the whole process of building something that represents who you are in order for people to see you the way you want to be seen, making money, all of that, it gives you freedom to be yourself. I can be much more myself now than I was able to do that 5 years ago, when I didn't have any of all of those needs met. Of course, I had enough to eat, I had an apartment, but that's it. I wasn't building my life around a way that made me feel like I'm valuing myself. And so when it comes to, why don't you care enough about your life to change it? It's probably because you don't look at it holistically enough. Making money for what? Yeah, I get it if you don't want to make money. But if you say okay, I want to make money so I can help people with that. I want to make money so I buy myself freedom to be myself, because the more I am myself, the more I can show up as myself, the more I can enjoy life, the more I can actually be an example for people to enjoy life more. Then you can start building it down. If you say, okay, this is my highest goal, I want to make the world a little better, I want to make the world a little better through that kind of thing that I'm giving, and that's different for everybody. If it is through your humor, if it is through just the energy that you show up, it doesn't even, if it's because you love to create great art, or if it's because just you can be a representation of that energy. So I was somebody, I'm not musical, I'm not very artistic. My math skills, yes, they're quite good, but even they had limits. So yes, I was in the financial field, but I got to a point where I felt okay, there are people a lot better at this than I am, but the one thing that I felt like I always did, and I sacrificed myself for it, was that I kind of knew what my friends could do to make their life better. But I did it in a way that enabled them, even because I wanted to keep, me in their life and all of those things. But we all have gifts. We all have gifts, even if it's just you showing up as the best version of yourself. You, by doing this, are being an example for others. And once you start that process, once you say, I'm gonna start putting it in energy and starting this momentum that is outside of what society tells me to do, what looks good on paper, but I'm just being more and more myself, you'll see how your why will develop. And then you can start saying things like, okay, well, making money, especially if it's not in a field that is my vocation, what for? But then, the second thought, you can realize, well, okay, this is not supposed to be like the end thing that I'm going to do until the end of my life. But right now, like making money, for example, in a job that is maybe not my biggest passion, but gives me security, gives energy to me. It gives me energy to feel okay and not to worry about how to pay my bills, right? At the same time, maybe that will give me also the opportunity to create an environment that is more in tune with who I want to be, that allows me to have greater vacations. All of that, like it has to like work with your why. The whole why is because the better your environment is, the better you're gonna feel, the more energy you're gonna have, and that energy you can put into creating something, like even if it was yourself, and showing up and sharing who you are with the world. There has to be a sharing. Like the whole thing about energy is you're pretty much a vessel. Everything you take in, you give out. And if you don't give it out because you're feeling like there's a scarcity, there's a lack, you can't make all of that happen, that you attract more and more and then you give that. So for the longest time, I felt like I'm giving, but I always held back. I never wanted to share my gifts in a way, because I thought those are secrets. And if I share them with others, then kind of like I don't have it for myself anymore and all of that. So I needed to put that all in motion. And it really doesn't matter where you start. Like I always say, if you have, let's say, a mountain you're climbing on, okay? And let's say that mountain is a job that pays better, that where you're just like in a better, like say, environment when it comes to just more energy is being transferred and things are happening. But like this is not gonna be like my ideal thing, but it's still a way for you to grow. The moment you grow on that mountain, at some point you'll have a better view because you've reached that kind of energy from a intensity level. And once you have that intensity of energy around you, then you kind of like, as I said, like you're a little bit higher on the mountain. You have a much better view of what kind of mountains are out there. And then you can say, oh, I'm going to go to that mountain. Or additionally, I'm going to go and do something that will be my vocation, so to say, right? And sometimes like we have to do things before we feel them. And then we create our why. Like we don't just create our why. Of course, that the why has to be in the end something that we just decide, but deciding that you want to be happy because you have this one life and you want to make it count in a way that your life experience is the most important thing. And at the same time, you want to help the world. Like no matter what you choose, how you want to help the world, animal society, whatever it is, like you'll never be able to give that much to it if you don't start with yourself. It always has to start with yourself, and then you let other things happen. And then you can really actively do something in all those areas that'll help you. Like I always talk about, what do I say? Physical energy management. So what can you do in order to be physically in the best shape? So food, like nutrition, sleep, meditation, exercise, relationship management. We know how important relationships are. How are your relationships right now? Are your relationships actually helping you and encouraging you to be the person who you want to be? Or are they only in a way of, I'm being tolerated? Like it's okay that I'm here because of this, this, and this? Or are your relationships actually the way, are they seeing you? Are they helping you become the person you want to be? And they will only happen this way if you set a standard of, for example, I'm not going to be a martyr. I'm going to be somebody who cares about herself or himself and who cares about, I like the way I, like my surroundings and stuff like that. And there's certain things I'm not going to sacrifice for any relationship. The moment you show up like this and you commit to this, your relationships will change. And then you kind of build up relationships which help you to be the person that you want to be. And at the same time, you're not taking anything away from anybody. That's the whole abundance mindset, that you don't take anything away from anybody just because you don't dim your light. Okay? So, as I said, we have, what was it? Physical energy management, relationship management, wealth management. Because of those reasons, that the more money you have, the more you can create freedom, the more you can create things that are, like, all of that. Vocation. Like, I've had it so often. If you don't have vocation in your life, like something will always be missing. Your why won't be complete. And the vocation can really start with, how can you actually help through your own gifts? What is a way? And even if it's not the perfect thing, Just start, because once you start, you a little bit climbing that mountain, you'll have a better view, and then you know what else you can do. Like, you have to start giving, and not in a way of, oh, if I don't give, I'm not a good person, but to know that's just part of the holistic thing. And then the last one for me is like priority management, to actually see, well, how important is each field? How, like, what are the things that I give most energy to? And then we realize how many things we actually do that keep us busy, but not productive in a way and becoming that person we want to be. So like those are like my 5 things. Those are the things I'm working on, and I'm always, like looking into at that helped me to change so much. For example, in the last month, that's like, if you want to look more into this, like check out the Epic Life Masterclass. But there are other ways. You can also, if you say this is not for me, you can think of those things for you. But if the more I keep looking to mentors and stuff like that, it kind of turns out we all have similar things that are keeping us. And, sometimes maybe you have some more areas of your life that you also want to care about. And then maybe you have areas where you say, well, I don't want to think about that because that's already so good and that's self-understood. But all of those areas have to matter. You have to really make an effort every week to better yourself in those areas, and out of nowhere you realize how life can be so much fun. And then your why, you don't need to explain it anymore. It's not like, well, I don't feel like making more money because what for? I don't have that because I'm not making any sacrifice. And I always feel like this, okay, the more I feel like this, the more I'm in tune with nature, with creation, with all of that, because I see the tree growing, I see the flower growing, and it doesn't ask itself, why am I growing? We always ask ourselves, why are we growing? Because there are things holding us back. It's like pretty much you're being a flower in a, in a little, I don't know what, a little bucket or anything like this. And you're asking, why should I put effort into growing if I'm gonna stay in this bucket? But you're only gonna stay in this bucket if you're not willing to show up as your authentic self, if you're not willing to actually make your life bigger by saying, I'm not just doing this for me, I'm caring about vocation, I want to experience life more. And then, out of nowhere, you realize, well, actually, I just thought there's a bucket above me. I actually can overcome this. And by doing all of those things, you'll feel more and more inclined to grow out of that bucket. And then once you're out of there, growing, it's just how can I not want to grow? That's like breathing. That's just who I want to be. And it's just an amazing feeling. I hope that helped you. Let me know in the comments if you have any more questions. I'm definitely going to do more and more videos on this because this is my thing right now and I really care about it. So yeah, if you want to know more about, let's say, those 5 pillars that I talked about, check out the Epic Life Masterclass. The link is in the description. Also, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, also there, INFJ ebook. You know the drill, guys. There's enough material out there from everything that you're wanting to invest right now, even if it's the free email course, the book, the masterclass or coaching. There's something for every level you're at and how committed you are to changing your life. So don't neglect that. It's your life. It matters. And if it's not me who can help you the most, then go look out for other people. But go and be your best friend and find the things and do the things and invest in yourself, because there's nothing more important than building yourself to a point where you can do more also for others, for your life, and experience life the best way possible. I wish you a great day, guys, like always, and I talk to you next time. Bye.